Hi, boys and girls. Today I wanted to talk to you about telling time. There's lots of different ways you can tell time. One way is on an analog clock. Another way is on a digital clock. I think you probably see digital clocks more often. There's digital clocks on cell phones, on alarm clocks, in your car. Seems like they're everywhere. But an analog clock, that's important to learn how to tell time on too. And you do see those some places, like in our classroom or in a library. Maybe you have one on your wall at home. They're everywhere too. The clock that you're looking at in this picture is an analog clock. And there's some important things that you need to know before learning to tell time. One of them is we tell time in hours and in minutes. Hours are longer, minutes are shorter, but they have something in common, and it's the number 60. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute, and there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So, when you're looking at a clock, this number right up at the top is super important. This number 12. It's important because it's at the very top of the clock, and I call this the starting line. Every time the hands on the clock get to the starting line, something changes. We're going to take a look at what that is. There are some important things that you need to know about the clock too, like all these little lines. What do you think those lines are for? That's right, they stand for minutes. So from here to here is 1 minute, and here is another minute. So I would count the minutes like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I counted all the way around the clock, I would count 60 minutes. There's 60 minutes all the way around the clock. That's 1 hour. The other thing I want you to know about the clock is it has these all around it. What are these? Yeah, numbers. And it always, always, always has a 12 on the top. And then it goes in number order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's no 13 or any other number that's higher. So, will the 12 always be at the top on a clock? Will the 6 always be at the bottom of the clock? Yep, they'll stay put. Down here is what you would see on a digital clock. You would see the hour on this side and the minutes on this side. Today, we're just going to take a look at this thing right here. Do you know what that's called on a clock? It's called a hand. You're right, just like this word right here. The hand that you're looking at now is called an hour hand. The hour hand is shorter than the other hand that is on a clock, but it's often fatter. So the hour hand is the easier one because it points right to the hour that is the time. So see this hand pointing right at the 1? That means it's 1 o'clock. You don't really even need the other hand. Let's take a look at the next one. This clock has the hour hand pointing right at the 10. So this clock tells me that it's 10 o'clock. If I saw it on a digital clock, it would look like this. 10 is the hour, and the minutes are 0. That means it's 0 minutes after 10 o'clock, or exactly 10 o'clock. When I look at the next clock, what number is this arrow pointing at? That's right, it's pointing right at the 2. So this hand points right at the 2. that means it's 2 o'clock. Right down here, it says 2 o'clock in digital time. That means it's 0 minutes after 2 o'clock, or exactly 2 o'clock. This clock has 2 hands. So which one do you think is shorter? This one or this one? If you said this one, you were right. It's shorter. So that's the one that we're going to look at to tell the hour. So this short one is pointing right at the 5. So that means that it is 5 o'clock. And I know it's 0 minutes after 5 o'clock because the other hand, the longer one that I call the minute hand, is straight up at the starting line. When it's straight up, pointing right at the 12 at the starting line, that means 0 minutes after this hour. So when I look at the clock like this, I know it's 5 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Which one is the hour hand here? This one or this one? If you said this one, you were right. That one is the hour hand. It's shorter. What number is the hour hand pointing at? It's pointing at the 1. So that's why when I see over here, I see the hour as 1. Now when I look on this side of the digital clock, it says 00. So that means it's 0 minutes after 1 o'clock. And I know that's true because this long hand, we call the minute hand, is right at the top of the clock, right on the starting line. It's 0 minutes after 1 o'clock. Or I could say exactly 1 o'clock. Let's look at the next clock. Here's a different clock. Let's see if we can figure out which one the hour hand is. Do you think this is the hour hand? Or is this the hour hand? Remember, the hour hand is shorter. If you said this one, you were right. This one goes way, way up. This is the hour hand. What number is it pointing at? It's pointing at the 2. You're right. So I would say the hour is 2. Do you ever see a digital clock on a cell phone? That's what this is. So you can see the hour right here as 2. And I see the minutes, 00. That means it's 0 minutes after 2 o'clock. So to figure that out, I need to make sure the minute hand is right on the starting line. It is. That means it's 0 minutes after 2, or we would say 2 o'clock. Look at this clock. It has an extra hand. If that red one wasn't there, which hand is shorter? This hand or this hand? That's right, this one is shorter. This one is the hour hand, and it points right at the number 9. So when I'm telling the time, I see the 9 for 9 o'clock. And I see the 2 zeros. That means it's 0 minutes after 9 o'clock, because the minute hand here, the long skinny one, is right on the starting line. So let's talk about this extra hand. Why is that here? If you guessed that it's the second hand, you're right. Not all clocks have a second hand. This one does. But a second hand counts the seconds. It goes pretty fast around the clock. And yes, there are 60 seconds in a minute. Take a look at this clock. Do you think you'd be able to tell time if the numbers disappeared from the clock? How would you do that?